I just have this drive in me that keeps going, but this I was just like, I can't think. And whenever I'm hungry, like, I eat. I'm not a skip meal kind of gal. It doesn't matter that someone's got it worse than you can still feel shit. Hello, welcome back to my YouTube. It has been, I don't even know, months. I think I've done one this year. I haven't had the capacity mentally or energetically to jump on here and invest time in this space. And I don't want to sound like I don't give a shit, but my health hasn't been great, so something had to give. And what today's YouTube is, it is a sit down chat, and hopefully it's not boring, but I just wanted to do like a general sort of life, health, fitness, nutrition, mental health, all around general kind of update. One, because people are asking questions over on Instagram, and two, because I think these conversations are really important to have and people aren't having them enough, at least in a really real and authentic kind of way. I'm like, I really don't want to ramble and be boring, but I also want to add value with what I have to share. You guys are used to me being on my channel and always being real, for one, which I am, but often I really feel like I need to put on a motivating, inspiring front on here. And that really sometimes gets to me energetically because I'm not always that way. Let's get cracking. So I have just written a couple of notes to make sure I cover everything, but basically a lot has been going on. I kind of want to let you know where I've been, why I haven't been on YouTube, like what's been going on with my skin, my Roaccutane, my acne journey. I was sharing that. Mental health, fitness and nutrition goals, health overall. There's protocols and stuff that I'm doing for my gut health, my hormone health, and I'm working with someone for that, where I'm living, and business stuff. So I did put an Instagram question out saying, what do you want to know? I'm going to be filming a YouTube, and I probably should have filmed this tomorrow after I got more questions. There's already a few here. So let me just start by saying like where I've been and why I haven't been on YouTube. So 3.5, 4 months, however long ago, I moved back to Melbourne, where I'm originally from Sydney. And it's been a really big adjustment because I've temporarily been staying with my sister, her husband, and their baby. That's been really intense, but it's also been really good because my life in Sydney, I was living alone. I was very focused on my own things. I didn't have any family or any sort of commitments, I suppose, outside of my own wants, needs, and desires. So it's been really good to actually help me put in boundaries with work, which I'm really bad with because I work all the time. Even if it's not like work, like sitting down at a computer, I'll be like on my phone replying to messages, DMs, checking in my Facebook community. Like, it's, I don't know, when you live alone, you've got kind of more time to do that. Whereas now that I'm with my family, I'm distracted a lot more. I have other people's routines to consider. Obviously, I'm trying to be present with them. If anyone has a baby or has been around babies, you know that they demand a lot of attention, and I'm also helping them. Like, I help them a lot with babysitting and with, you know, if my sister wants to shower, like holding and looking after and entertaining the baby. So I have really struggled with doing less work and really trying to make sure when I am working, I'm being super productive with it. So YouTube was just one of those things that was really easy for me to flip out my camera, film stuff, plan my weekly content and do it. Whereas now it's like I need to be really conscious about like when the baby's sleeping, or if he's at daycare, or the fact that the room I'm still staying in at my sister's is also her husband's office. So I can't just like come in here and film stuff, sharing spaces. It's a lot more difficult than I sort of anticipated. So that's kind of why, on the one hand, and then on the other hand, as I mentioned earlier, my energy has been just so tanked. Like, I can't even explain it. And it was something that sort of crept up on me. I'm pretty sure it's burnout. I experienced burnout. And I thought I had experienced this before, where all the energy just totally drains from your body. And I literally like, I couldn't move. I remember one day I was sitting on the couch. This was like last year. And I was hungry. And whenever I'm hungry, like I eat. I'm not a skip meal kind of gal. And I was lying on the couch and I was like, I'm hungry. I can't get up. I can't move. And I was just so exhausted. There was nothing in me. And it was like that for about 2 days. And then I was like resting, recovering. And then I just kind of got better. And I was like, oh, maybe I was just burnt out for a couple of days. Yeah, that wasn't burnt out. That was just being really tired. What I've had lately is a whole other thing in itself. And it's really hard to identify if like it's this one thing, it's burnout, because I have a lot of sort of factors at play with my health at the moment, with gut health stuff, hormone health. I was on Roaccutane. I'll get to that in a moment. And these things have an impact on your energy, on your health, on your sleeping. I'm in a new routine, like there's a baby around. I actually sleep pretty well considering, like, because he's quite a great sleeper. I'm like, was it burnout? Was it mental health stuff? I don't know exactly. But the feelings that I was feeling, like the symptoms and stuff, were extreme fatigue, and no matter how much or how good quality the sleep was, I wasn't getting better. I feel freaking exhausted right now, like really fried. I'm sorry if I look like shit, but I'm really tired. And I take care of myself. As you guys know, I get enough sleep. I'm eating really well. I'm moving my body. And yet just wasn't enough to be like recovering. This is already 7 minutes in. I haven't even like finished the first thing. So I feel like this is going to be really long and I don't want it to be super long. Anyway, so that's the burnout side of things. And so I literally snapped the other day. My sister's kid, Rio, has started daycare. And again, if any parents are watching this and have had their kids in daycare, they're going to understand this. I'm not a parent, but I'm experiencing all the parent stuff, because when you send your kid to daycare, they go from being in this bubble where they're not exposed to illness and to being in a center with other babies where they're like sucking each other's dummies, licking each other's faces. They pick up all kinds of things. So in the first month, there's been gastro, and then there's been about 5 different viruses that we've all gotten. So I was sick for a month, and I think I'm about to get sick again because he has another virus. So I was sick for a month. I wasn't able to train properly. I was already feeling really shit about being tired and run down, and my gut health stuff going on, coming back from an injury with my training, and then being sick and not being able to train. And then I got home from a training session where I'd started to feel better, but then I started feeling worse again, and I got a blood nose from the Roaccutane, and I was just like sitting outside crying, and I was just like, I can't even live my life. And I don't want this to be dramatic, because I know there are a million situations out there that are way worse than me. But when you're feeling, when you're in a circumstance that's really challenging, it doesn't matter that someone's got it worse than you. You can still feel shit. So, you know, I don't want to like say other people's problems don't matter, and in context comparatively, yeah, other people's problems are worse, but it doesn't mean you can't feel shit about your situation. So I was just like, and I know I'm so fortunate to be able to do this, but I literally booked a holiday for 2 days, my first holiday in 2.5 years, and was like, I'm out. And I went to the Gold Coast, and I was like, I'll get some sunshine. Of course, it was raining the whole fucking time. Yay. So I went away with the expectation that taking time off would really help my energy, help me with my burnout, help me with all of the stuff going on with my body, like the stress that my body's under, inflammation, water retention, everything, and I would just be feeling great. And quite the opposite happened. I went there, it was raining, I couldn't do anything. I do have friends up there, but I spent a lot of time inside, stuck in my head, and my mental health got really, really, really bad. The worst it's been in a really long, like years. And I think I'd had these expectations that were not met by going on holiday, or not met soon enough, because hello, I'm impatient. And so it was really shit. And One of the side effects of Roaccutane is like really poor mental health, suicidal thoughts. It wasn't at that point for me, thank God, but I just decided to have a break from it, just pause it. The dermatologist said that I can do that at any point. She's kind of under the impression that I need to be on it for another 6 months. I've already done 6 months. As you can see, my skin's looking great, clear. I haven't been getting any breakouts. But because of the severity of it to begin with, she's like, yeah, you need to be on it for like 12 months total. So that was a bit of a kick in the guts, because I feel like the side effects, whilst I've been so lucky not to get dry lips or dry skin or anything, the other side effects on mental health, on my blood tests, like my thyroid has slowed down, which has meant weight loss has been really difficult. I have gained weight. I'll talk about that in a moment. I've just really not been feeling myself. So I came off it, and that really helped massively my mental health. So I'm feeling like I'm in a lot better position now. I couldn't have filmed this, you know, a couple of weeks ago when I was feeling that horrible. So that's kind of the burnout stuff that's going on and like where I've been. One of the questions I got on Instagram was, are you going to stay living in Melbourne? And to be honest, I wanted to go to the Gold Coast to see if I could maybe see myself living there. It's got really great weather. I've got friends up there. The rent is a lot cheaper than Sydney. It seems like a really chill, like beach vibe. And yeah, it's always like quite warm. And I went up there, and then the first week I was kind of like, oh yeah, I could like really see myself living here. But I think I'd also attached a lot of expectations that my stress would be reduced by living there. I would be happier living there. And I didn't actually realize how bad my mental health was until I went away and realized it wasn't environmentally, like it wasn't because I was in Melbourne. And then the second half of it, I was like, you know what? I've liked the Gold Coast for a holiday, but it is lacking a lot of things for me. Like culturally, they're not really up to speed as like Melbourne and Sydney. The biggest city is Brisbane, which is a little while away. You definitely need a car, which I have, but I don't want to drive my car up there. I just didn't really see myself being there long term, and it was kind of like, I just really love Sydney. So at this point in time, to be honest, I'm not sure if I'm going to stay in Melbourne. It's really great being here and being around my family, but I do really miss my lifestyle in Sydney, and having a lifestyle that really re-energizes me from the energy draining stuff that I do, like working so much. I'm able to do things like go to the beach and be in nature a lot more, whereas in Melbourne there's not really any beaches nearby, and like there's just the bay, and there are beaches but you have to drive quite a while. It's not really easy to integrate every day into your lifestyle. So I am just trying to find other things that help to re-energize me and contribute to a better sense of well-being. So I've started doing yin yoga, which I'm really enjoying because that's slowing down and breathing, and it's not like, in so many aspects of my life I'm so focused on progression that it just adds pressure, like unnecessary pressure. So really like in yin yoga, it's like you don't have to do like really stretch heaps or like get really good at do anything. You like lie there and hold your leg and hold a pose and breathe. So I really like that. Yeah, so that's living situation. So I suppose health stuff, fitness, nutrition, everything. I'm working with a dietitian, Natalie K. Douglas. I found her through her podcast, and I really resonated with the way she handles her clients. And I've seen so many like holistic practitioners, naturopaths, nutritional medicine experts, and I'm just like, for the last 10 years, ever since I was in hospital, I haven't made a lot of progress with anyone. So I did a lot of research to make sure I found someone that I actually thought could help me. So we did a whole lot of tests she's got the whole picture of like my kind of history, my family history, God, I can't even think. My family history, gut tests, stool tests, like specific tests looking at your bloods and certain markers and looking at them from a functional perspective rather than how doctors look at them. Because doctors look for you something when you're like really, really sick, like this is gonna die or turn into cancer sick. You're going to die or turn into cancer sick. Whereas like dietitians and naturopaths look at like a functional parameter for these markers. Not against Western medicine, very into Western medicine. If I'm dying, I want a doctor. But for the functional stuff that doctors haven't been able to help me with, I want someone that's going to look a little bit deeper and address what's going on and causing it rather than just putting a band-aid on the symptoms. So we did a SIBO test, which is small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. I'm not going to get into what it is specifically, but I'll just tell you what some of my symptoms are. So things like gas, bloating, it affects your stools, fatigue, discomfort in your stomach, and then just there's a very diverse range of things to look for. So this was something that we test for. It's a specific breath test that we did, and it did come back as being positive, and there are 2 types that you can have. And then there are, you know, different practitioners are going to manage it differently. So we're doing a specific diet protocol and specific antimicrobial supplements. So I'm taking those, and it's a very slow process. Healing gut stuff is a very slow process. And like I said, I've got 10 years worth of being in hospital, antibiotics, stress, like all this stuff that has just put me in a pretty tough position to be able to heal this. But honestly, it got to the point where I was like, my skin, acne, weight fluctuations, fatigue, bloating, like just not feeling myself, really just got to a point where I was like, I need to do something about this, and I need it to actually work. So yeah, that's kind of the position we're at now. I'm still on the diet, I'm still taking the stuff, I am seeing progress. It is slow, it is frustrating, but Natalie's amazing, and one of the biggest things I really need to work on is my stress management. I do a whole lot of stuff to help manage my stress, like meditate, journal, read, walks, be in nature. I've put in boundaries with my work, but it's just not enough. So that kind of shows the gravity of how much stress my body's under. And I've said this before in like a specific stress dedicated video. Stress isn't just like pressure from work or deadlines. So many things put stress on our body, and I'm reading a lot of books about this and really educating myself in it. It's like poor gut health, viruses, lack of sleep, being on a diet, training. Any kind of training is a stress on the body. Not actually breaking the cycle of your stress. So if it's like constantly stress and you're not doing anything to sort of break that cycle, it's just building and building. So that's why I'm implementing things like the yoga, and I'm actually seeing an energy healer tomorrow. Like I'm just trying all these different things to help manage the stress, and it's like it's just going to be an ongoing lifestyle thing. It's not just like manage the stress now and then get back to the way you're working, because that was clearly leading to the point that I'm at today. So that's that side of things. With the raw Accutane in my skin, obviously my skin is looking heaps better. I saw a new dermatologist in Melbourne who is really, really, really good, like very holistic, considered gut health, like just thought about diet, like she was just really good. And yeah, from where it was first at, she was kind of like, yeah, 12 months. So I'm just pausing it at the moment. It's worked really, really well for me. The side effects were really manageable for me up until when I was in the Gold Coast, and it just got to the point where I was like, I'm just going to pause. I've got an appointment with her in a few months. I'm going to check my bloods because it has affected my thyroid function, which was totally normal before going on the medication. And when it's slowed my thyroid down, which is essentially my metabolism, which means weight gain, you know, you're in kind of a prime position for weight gain. So let's now chat about that, chat about weight gain, what my training goals are, what's been going on there. So yeah, I realized I am either like always in a dieting phase or in like a building phase, that I never really spend a lot of time just at maintenance and trying to build my calories up and not like go into like a massing phase or a cutting phase. So right now, I would very much like to lose weight. but it's just not the time to be in a deficit. Like I said earlier, a deficit puts stress on the body. The last thing my body needs is additional stress on top of what it's already trying to manage. So even though I really want to, I know that inner health is just my priority right now. Like, and it is going to be moving forward for forever. It always is, but it's taken me a while to realize what that means. And even though, you know, I know how to lose weight and I want to do it, I know that if I don't spend a significant amount of time at maintenance calories, that process is going to be really difficult. Like if you guys watched my previous YouTube of the diet series I did, you would see how unresponsive my body was to the deficit. And you need your body to feel safe to be able to go into a deficit. And my body, the last few years, the last 5 years have been in and out of a deficit. And it's just, my body's just like, I'm so over this. I'm over you. Can we just eat some food and be happy and healthy and safe? So even though I'm really uncomfortable at the weight that I'm at, my thyroid is low, and mentally it's really affecting me because showing up on Instagram and on social media can be really challenging, particularly, you know, in the fitness industry where people expect you to look a certain way or have previously seen you a certain way, and you don't look that way, and you don't feel good about the fact that you don't look that way. And you've got a business that people associate with, you know, if your coach doesn't look a certain way, then why would I trust what you are saying? People who know me, like, you know, you guys that have been following me for a long time and stuff, you know I know my shit. You know I know how to do this stuff. But new people, you know, maybe not. So that has been really mentally challenging. And it's taken a lot of practice and reframing to get me to a place where I am today. And that's still not like full body acceptance or acceptance of where I'm at. It's more just like, I have my days, I have my good days, I have my bad days. So right now my goal is consistency. And what I'm loving about that is consistency doesn't mean one thing. It's something that you can define for yourself. And that's something that I'm really encouraging my Train with Soph girls to think about, because consistency to someone might look like hitting your calories every single day and your steps every single day and your training sessions every single week. Consistency to someone else might mean getting 2 out of 4 training sessions done in a week and hitting within 100 calories of your target and going out once a week and feeling really happy about the choices that you make. Like, it's something that's going to be different for everyone, as long as it's something that you're doing consistently, right? So I've really been working on defining what consistency means to me. And my goal that I always remind myself of is what's going to make me feel good in the long term. Because things like, oh, I want to eat, you know, I'm not meant to be eating gluten right now. Like, I'm always gluten-free, but like part-time gluten-free. So I'm full-time gluten-free now. And I might be like, oh, it's Easter, I really want a hot cross bun. Like, that'll make me feel really good in the moment. But then knowing that long term, it's going to make me feel really shit. It's going to set me back in my progress with like getting really healthy. So that's how I'm really trying to frame things for myself. So I'm still reverse dieting. I'm trying to build my calories as high as possible. I'm currently maintaining on 1,820 kind of range. So it's really nice to have the freedom and flexibility of eating higher calories, because I'm so used to eating really low calories, being afraid to eat more food. Even though I coach my girls through this, I really resonate with anyone who's been living on low calories and is like, oh my God, I look at, you know, a donut and I gain weight. And that's, you know, the low thyroid. It's been interesting because as I brought my food up, there was a bit of weight gain and then it kind of plateaued. And yeah, it's an uncomfortable thing to go through. And like I said, especially doing it publicly, but I'm learning a lot and I will share a lot of lessons with you guys. Hopefully I can be more consistent with my YouTubes, because I really do think that this will be really helpful for a lot of people. And if you've gotten this far, then thanks for sticking around, and I really hope it's helping. And then with training side, I mean, I'm forever chasing strength goals, PBs and stuff, but I've really had to slow that down because I'm injured. So you can see throughout this YouTube, I'm pointing out a lot of things that's going on with my health, like my skin, my fatigue, my gut health, my stress levels, burning out, injury. Like, they're all painting this picture that I'm not actually in a very good place physically with my health, or mentally, which I'll speak to in a moment. So I'm really trying to get back in tune with my body and listening to it. So right now with this injury, I mean, this time last year, it was actually, lockdown had just begun, but January, when was it, 2019? 2020? Yeah, anyway, at the start of last year, I was deadlifting like 130 kilos, hitting my PBs, squatting like almost got to my 100 kilos, squatting like 97 kilos. I was feeling really strong. And now I am squatting 60 kilos, I'm deadlifting 70, and that's because I've got this injury, and probably also just because I'm really unconditioned from being in lockdown and not lifting heavy. But it's been a really slow process. So my injury is a hamstring tendinopathy. I've been working with a really good physio to help fix that, and it's just a slow process, and heavy weights tend to aggravate it. So that has also been really mentally challenging, because one way to get out of focusing on weight gain and scale weight, which I no longer weigh myself, but one way to get out of that is by focusing on other things as markers for progression. So I would really use weights and progressing with my strength as that. And now that that's sort of been taken away, I've had to readjust the lens at which I look through that with. So now it's like, okay, progress with my rehab and with my injury, which is a lot less sexy and a lot slower. So it has been a very big challenge. But they're my goals: reverse dieting, maintaining. I might be dropping into a mini cut at some point just so I can feel a little more comfortable, fit my clothes a little better, feel like I can show up on social media with a bit more confidence. But again, it's just going to depend on my body. I feel like this whole year is just going to be about maintenance for me and supporting my body through its recovery before considering going into a longer term diet, which will look quite different to what I've done in the past. And then with training, I'm just focusing on getting better and getting stronger and moving pain-free. The final thing I guess I want to chat about is mental health. There's a lot of stigma and shame around mental health. It is honestly something that I've been brought up with that's been very normalized, because there is quite a history of poor mental health in my family. So they're conversations that I've had from an early age. So to be honest, I don't feel shame about it. My sister's a psychologist. We have very open conversations about this kind of thing. I would consider myself very emotionally intelligent and aware, and it means I am quite in tune with how I'm feeling. That being said, you can be the most emotionally intelligent, equipped person there is and not recognize the signs of mental health deteriorating, or not be willing to admit that you are struggling. So I guess the body image kind of stuff has played a huge role in my mental health deteriorating. Moving to Melbourne, I don't know if it has. I think it was a hard shift for me in that I went from being very independent and living on my own to then living with my family, whom I love and absolutely adore. And it's meant to be temporary until I find a place, but I don't know if I want to stay, so I'm being very indecisive. But it's very comforting to be around family. But my life has changed a lot from what I knew, and that's been really difficult. And Melbourne, I've changed so much since I lived here 4 years ago. I feel like Melbourne's really great for when I was in my 20s and I just got pissed and went out to bars and went for brunch, whereas now I'm like, I want to get up early and like go for a beach walk and a swim and a coffee and go to the markets and like go to bed early. I'm getting old. And it's like, not really an inspiring place to be from that perspective, because it's not like Sydney where nature's at your doorstep. So it's like it's grey and cold and suburban, and well, not suburban, but I don't know, it's just like condensed, and it's not beautiful like Sydney. At least where I am, down at my dad's, it's really nice, but it's freaking cold, and that really affects my mood. So there's that side of things. There's the weight side of things. There's, you know, feeling burnt out and not as motivated to do my work and to show up on social media. Really affects me because it makes me feel like a failure. It makes me feel like my business is going to fail. It makes me feel like, what am I going to do? Like, you know, your brain goes into solving mode, and I'm like, oh my God, I have this feeling. How do I fix it? I'm really struggling to show up on social media. Does that mean I'm not going to show up on social media? What am I going to do with my life if that's not what I do? And it was just this horrible cycle, that because when you're burnt out, like, unless you've felt it, it's really hard to explain. I love what I do. I love building businesses. I love helping people. Like, that is what I've been put on this earth to do. But when you get to the point where you are so drained that you can't even, I didn't post on Instagram for a whole 10 days. I've never done that before. I've shown up every single day for the last 5 years, posting twice a day. No matter how sick or whatever I've been, I always have content. I always post content. I just have this drive in me that keeps going. But this, I was just like, I can't think. I don't have anything to even say. Like, I can't even formulate words to put a caption together. I can't think to even take a photo. Like, I was absolutely checked out, and it affected wanting to work. And that was so scary for me, because I work, this is what I do. I love working. I love helping people, and I love seeing my business grow, and it was really scary. So that really messed with my mental health, and I had this whole like existential crisis. And so all of those things combined, not feeling settled in Melbourne, not knowing if I want to live here, being really torn because I feel like I want to be in Sydney but I don't want to be away from my family. And it's been hard. It's been really hard not being able to train because I'm injured. Like, I don't know, it's just, yeah, it's been a lot. I'm trying to think what else, because I'm like, that doesn't seem like enough. But that's the thing with mental health. It doesn't have to be all these different factors that mean you're going to struggle. It's like what level of importance you assign to certain things. So for me, when it comes to my values, health is like up there. And I'm not talking about like being lean, because being lean doesn't mean you're healthy. I'm talking about having energy to be able to do the things that I love to do, like training, pain-free, getting strong, like doing something and seeing my body respond, like entering a deficit. It's so frustrating when it doesn't. Being able to put everything into my work, doing photo shoots. I've not wanted to do a photo shoot. It's a horrible, horrible feeling, especially when your business relies on it. Like, there's just a lot of layers and elements to this. So anyway, I am going to start seeing a psychologist and digging into this stuff a lot deeper. There's no shame in seeing a psychologist. If you break your arm, you go to a doctor. If your mind feels a bit broken, you go to a psychologist. Like, that's just the way it is. That's the mental health side of things. And then to cap it all off, something I forgot to mention, work-wise. So I am working on the biggest project pretty much of my entire career, that's meant to be launching in a couple of months, and that just added a whole lot of pressure. So I've been, on one hand, trying to put boundaries in with work, like finishing times and taking weekends and public holidays off. But because this project is coming to a head, it's like I've been working overtime and on weekends and not saying no to any of those meetings. And there's a lot of thoughts that I'm trying to hold in my head that I'm feeling really overwhelmed with. So I'm putting a lot of energy and time into that, but I just found out that I might actually be able to extend when I'm launching that because of a few things. So that's a really good thing. It means that I can do it and be healthy when I launch and not like hanging on by a thread. So let me check if there's any other questions that have been asked. Yes, there are. Okay, this is a good one. All right, so people want to know about SIBO, my training goals, if I'm staying in Melbourne. Do I think my physical struggles, fatigue and strength loss is from mental health? I mean, like I've said, there's so much going on in my life. I think people that are affected by mental health alone without all the other stuff that I said's going on, 100% that can affect it. For me, I think it's just a combination of all the things that I've discussed today. I'm really sorry if this was like a boring sit down chat YouTube, but like I said at the start, I just wanted to give you guys an update. I have had heaps of people ask about when I'm coming back onto YouTube. It's funny because I get anxiety not being on social media. Like, all the social media platforms really love consistency. They love it when you're posting daily, weekly. People say there's no point even doing YouTube if you're not going to post 1 to 2 times a week. And it's kind of like, that's an extra pressure that I put on myself. So the fact that I haven't been on here for months, I'm like, cool. In my head, I'm like, this is going to get like shit all views. And then I feel like I'm doing nothing to help people out there. And then it feels like a waste of my energy and my time. And it's just this story that I tell myself that it can be really difficult when, you know, you put a lot of effort in and it doesn't feel like it's making an impact. So anyway, it's just about consistency. This isn't a sob story about me. It's just sharing some things that I've gone through. I'm so stuffy and congested because of this virus that I'm inevitably getting. Yeah, I'm gonna just cut it there because this is really effing long. But love you guys. Thanks for like watching if you've gotten to this point. I'm really gonna try and be consistent again because I feel like my philosophy towards health and stuff has changed a lot from what I've gone through. And I want to share that with you guys. So goal is to keep up on YouTube. Anyway, if you guys like this, please make sure you subscribe, like, support me, please. It would really mean a lot to me. And I will see you back here hopefully really, really soon.